Hello everybody, we're going to take a look at long division today. Here we have a problem, 13,140 divided by 45. We're going to take a look at that, and just before we start, again, this page is laid out like the others. We have an overview with links to Khan Academy, different ways you can do division with decimals or not. You can find the lesson in another language, and this video will be on this tab. We will have a screenshot of my tablet on this page, the worksheet page, to show you what your worksheet should look like. More practice available here, a couple of PDFs, and usually I just have one PDF, but here we have, you divide 3-digit numbers by 1-digit numbers. That's a little bit easier, and the answers are on the second page. And these are horizontal division problems, so you'll need to set them up correctly. So I'd like you to learn how to do that for sure. And then if you click here, you can get a PDF that you can use at Google Drive, and you can use an editing software to write in your answers if you want. This second sheet is 3-digit numbers divided by 2-digit numbers, which is what you have in WAMAP. So be sure to try and practice these. And if you have any trouble at all, email me. You can either message me through the app or just send me an email. Okay, let's get started. All right, so 13,140 divided by 45. So first is the setup. We're going to, this is always a little bit confusing. We write 13140, and then we'll put the division thing around that, and we're dividing that by 45, okay? So I'm going to do every step and add in zeros and everything. I'm going to try to make it as transparent as possible so that no matter what you encounter, when you're working on a problem, you'll be able to solve it. So, all right, trying to neaten this up a little bit. All right, so the first thing you do, division is basically trying to divide this number into this number, but we're going to break this number into pieces and just take only as much as we need each time. That makes it easier to know. It makes it easier to find your answer. And multiplication is the inverse of that, where you multiply every number by every other number and add everything together. Here we are dividing this number by all of these numbers, and then we're subtracting as we go. So they are truly inverse operations to each other. First thing we ask is, how many times will 45 go into 1? Okay, and the answer to that is 0. So we put a 0 above the 1. And that may be a little bit to the left, but just remember that's over the 1. And so to make this, we're going to look at this 1 and 3 as 13, and we'll ask ourselves, how many times will 45 go into 13? And the answer here is also 0, because 45 is greater than 13. So next time, we're going to add one more number here and look at 131 and ask ourselves, how many times will 45 go into this? And so this is a big enough number to for 45 to go into at least once, but we want to get a high enough guess that we're almost, the remainder, when we subtract the product, will be less than this number, less than 45. So 2 times 45 would be 90, right? So we're just going to kind of guesstimate it. You could say 45 is almost 50. You can use your rounding, right? The rounding skills, and that 131 would round to 130, or if you were to round it to the nearest 100, 131 would round to 100, right? So 50 would go into 100 twice. So let's go ahead and give that a try and see how we do. Sometimes guesstimating works, and sometimes you have to go back to the drawing board and increase your guess by 1 or decrease it by 1 depending on the answer. So we're going to multiply this number 2 times this number 45. 2 times 5 is 10, so we write down the 0 and carry the 1. And then 2 times 4, right? 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 more is 9, so we're going to write the 9 here. And that's 90, so we'll subtract 90 from 131. So 1 minus 0 is 1. And here 3 minus 9 we can't do, so we borrow from the 1. And let me do this in a different color. We're going to cross out the 1, and that leaves 0. That guy's got no money now. And we can make this 13, this 3 like 13. And then we subtract 9 from 13, we get 4. So we have 41 here. And this is less than 45, so we know we are good. If this were larger than 45, we would have chosen the wrong number here. And we would have to do this step over. Increase that by 1, and then multiply it out again. This number can't be greater than this number, or you haven't really found how many times 45 goes into this number. All right, so 45 won't go into this number, so we continue grabbing the next number in line and seeing how many times 45 will go into that. So we're looking at this as 414. And how many times will 45 go into that? Well, we can do the same thing we did before. 45 rounds to 50. 414 rounds to 400. So how many times does 50 go into 400? Well, it's the same as the number of times 5 goes into 40. If you know your multiplication table, then 8 should work. And we'll see, this guess might be low, but we're going to try it. So let's multiply this out. 8 times 5 is 40. That's a 0, carry the 4. And then 8 times 4 is 32, plus 4 more is 36. All right, so now we subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4. And then 1 minus 6 we can't do, so we're going to, should have done that and do it in blue. 4 minus 0 is 4, oops. And then we're going to borrow 1 from the 4, leaving 3. So we have 11 minus 6, that's 5. And 3 minus 3 is 0. So you don't have to write that 0, but I'm just doing it to follow all the steps. So 54, this number is larger than this one. So we didn't go high enough with our guess. Our guess of 8 was 1 too low. 45 will go into this one more time. So we need to back up. And this is where having a tablet is awesome. And go back till that 8 is gone. There. And we'll try 9. Let's put 9 in there. All right, so 9 times 5 is 45. Really good idea to have your multiplication table down cold. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 4 more is 40. So we have 405. And 4 minus 5, we need to borrow 1, so that's a 0. That's 14 minus 5 is 9. 0 minus 0 is 0, and 4 minus 4 is 0. So then we have just one more number to go. 9 is the remainder, and this is less than 45, so we're good. And we bring down our last number, which is a 0, 90. And some of you may see at 45, well, if we say round 45 to 50 and round 90 to 100, then 50 goes into 100 twice. Let's go with 2. And 2 times 5 is 10. So put down the 0 and carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. And lo and behold, our answer is 292. We don't need these leading zeros in our answer. And that's what you would put in the answer box at WAMAP. All right, this had no remainder, but you could end up with a remainder. And as long as the remainder is smaller than your divisor, you're good. So give this one a try. You can use those worksheets at, let's see, right here, these worksheets. These will be a little easier, 3-digit numbers divided by 1-digit numbers. And then when you feel better, or if you want to just jump in and try these straight off, that's good. Go ahead and do that. And the answers are there so you can check your work. And try to use the guesstimate method. So here we have 493 divided by 29. Think of this as 500 divided by 30. And so how many times would 3 go into 50? You can kind of do things like that with rounding. And that's one reason that WAMAP starts Unit 1 with rounding, so that you can say, okay, this is almost 50, and this is almost 13,000, based on our rounding rules. And then you can calculate how many times that will go in. And so this box is just a picture, but at WAMAP you would put in your number 292 right here. All right, why don't you give that a try? See how it goes. If you get into trouble, email me or message me from inside WAMAP.